Hello.
Hi, April. We're
Hello,
back.
Kelsey. It's so
Back
nice to be
again with a
chatting.
new episode. Are you so
Yay!
ready?
I'm so ready. It's so nice to be chatting with you on this beautiful morning.
Ugh, I know. It's 2:40 in the afternoon, but it
Oh,
feels like
wait,
morning.
yeah.
I know.
Well, it's a beautiful morning over here.
I was just saying I'm like so thrown off. Like usually I'm really good at like jet lag, time zones. Like I can
Hmm.
usually just like pop back in. But last night I was up till like 3 or 4 a.m. just trying to figure it out and trying to fall asleep. And then
That's
I
the worst.
was like last night I had such high hopes. I was like, Monday morning, gonna wake up at 7 a.m., do my journaling, get my week planned. It's gonna be great. And then I didn't fall asleep till 4, so I woke up at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Sorry, oh my god, 10 p.m. 10 a.m. And then I was completely thrown off, had like 10 minutes to plan my day and my week, and was like, this is not what I wanted to do. And now I feel like I'm really, like, it only feels like it's 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. because I had planned to have this much done by 10 a.m., but I didn't.
That's the worst, is when you have such a plan in your head and you're ready to go, hit the ground running, get so much done, and then you just something messes it up.
I'm honestly, I was in a bad mood because I was so annoyed. Like, I'm like, this is not what I had planned. This is
This
not what
is
I wanted to do.
not what
I
I
am behind
intended.
schedule. I'm I'm a very on schedule kind of gal, and
Yeah,
I
that's me
don't like
too.
when I'm not on schedule.
Do you do time blocking at all?
Yes,
That's
hardcore. I
my
do a lot of time blocking.
same. That's my favorite thing to do. That's what keeps me on task and
Yes.
moving forward.
Yeah. Also, I this is a little funny. So I uh was talking to my therapist about how I was like, I have a hard time focusing. And she's like, do you think you would ever consider that you have like maybe just like a focus problem or like an attention problem? And I was like, oh, I know I do. um and and so but I told her, I was like, I do know how to figure it out, and this is my trick, and it might be helpful for anyone that's listening that does have some issues with like focusing
Hmm.
or procrastinating, because I procrastinate a lot when I'm forced to do something that I don't want to do. But my trick is that I just create a to-do list and I create a time to do it. So I time block, but I don't assign a task to that block. I
Hmm.
just create I have two lists. I have the blocks of time that I work, and I have the to-do list of things I need to do. And during that block, I say, okay, what am I going to do from this list? Whether it's my workout, whether it's a project I'm working on, whether
Hmm.
it's grocery shopping, it could be anything of those tasks, but I'm allowed to do any of those tasks during any of those blocks.
Oh, that's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
I work kind of the same way. Like, obviously I have my like times available in my head where like I don't have meetings or client calls and that sort of thing, but I love a good timer. Like, I'll sit down and I'll be like, okay, I have 30 minutes to get X, Y, and Z done, and I need to get it done in
Mm-hmm.
this time. Like
Yeah.
that. And I give myself, I estimate, an adequate, realistic amount of time to get said
Yeah.
activity done. But like that
Yeah.
timer
Yeah.
is set, and I put my phone aside, and it's kind of helpful because it's not like, because I have that timer, I know that I've blocked it out. I'm not running over. I'm not going to miss any meetings because I've timed it appropriately. So
Mm-hmm.
like I don't have to be distracted. I don't have to keep checking my phone. I don't have to keep double checking the time, making sure I'm not missing anything, like wondering how long I've been working. Like, timer rings, I've been there for a solid hour, whatever the time is. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that really helps me too, because it keeps me
Mm-hmm.
focused on the task. And then I get like a little break. I give myself a little break afterwards. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I get 10
Oh yeah.
minutes to like switch out the
You need that.
laundry or like go get a snack.
Yeah. Something I also do, and the way that I work out too, is that I do like I do my girl Pam. I talk about it all the time. But I follow this YouTube girl, and she makes these like, her name's Pamela Reef, by the way. Not that she needs any like promotion. She's great, but she's got like bajillions of followers. It's not like she's my PT or anything. But but the way she does it is that each week she puts out like a workout plan, and each day has like for 3 to 5 10 to 15 minute videos. So like today what I did is I started my day off, again, I was like crazy busy, but I was like, all right, I'm going to try to do something because I need it for my brain. So I did 20 minutes of it, and then
Mhm.
throughout my day now I'm going to do like a task, and then I'll do one of my 10-minute videos to
There you
finish
go.
workout, because I didn't have time to finish the whole workout this morning. But
Hmm.
now I'll do like one of the 10-minute videos after this call probably, and I'll do another 10-minute video after my next calls. So then I've kind of broken up my workout. I'll get my whole workout in. I'll get some time as a break, and I'll get my work done as well.
That's perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
And then also it's nice because, you know, you get up, you get some movement in between instead of just sitting all day and, you know,
yeah,
get your brain moving. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this discussion turned into something I didn't think it would turn into, but I'm glad we were talking about it because it's super interesting.
Yeah, I hope that, I think that it was helpful. Another thing too that I will add at the same time to kind of follow up on your blocking is that when I do my to-do list, I also put a time range next to it. So I'll be like, okay, my workout's going to be 45 minutes. My project's going to be 1 hour. And then when it's time blocking time, I'll say, okay, I have 45 minutes. What is 45 minutes that I can fit into here? And that helps me choose from my to-do list because it can be overwhelming to look at a to-do list and know what to do too. So
it can be so overwhelming. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into the episode for today.
Okay. We are doing protein.
Ooh.
So much protein.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
You're back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't know why you were out for a second. Okay.
I'm back. Don't worry. We're talking protein today. Everyone's favorite macronutrient, right?
Ooh, excuse me. That was the yum.
It's never been the villain, I don't think. Maybe it was in like 1975 or something.
Yeah.
They always choose fat and carbs. I don't know why protein. Maybe one day they're going to be like, no protein diet.
There'll be protein's turn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably.
diet culture does tend to target fat and carbohydrates as the main villains. I'm trying to think of a fad diet that targets protein. Well, I mean, I think when vegan or vegetarianism is utilized as a fad diet versus as, you know, a lifestyle where someone just wants to become vegan or vegetarian for the environment, for their love of animals, that's obviously separate. But I have seen vegan and vegetarianism utilized as a fad diet, and in that case certain types of protein would be targeted, I guess. But
yeah, like animal protein, but I don't think that protein will ever be like a bad thing in that sense. I do one of these days diet culture will choose it because they'll say I found this study that says that protein makes you fat.
Oh God. All right, let's jump into the question.
Someone's gonna take that clip and be like, a dietitian said that protein makes you fat.
Clickbait.
Come for me.
Come for me. Channel.
I know. Oh God.
Does protein make you fat?
Okay. That's the first question. All right. Are you ready for the real first question?
I am.
All right. How much protein do I need to get a day?
Question as usual. I need to think of another way to start off my answers. Like I always say,
that's a great question.
I mean it though when I say it.
They're all great questions.
So yes, great question. How much protein do I need to get in a day? That's a really good question, but it is person to person. You know, whoever's asking this, I don't know you. I don't know your metrics. I don't know your lifestyle. I don't know what you eat. So I cannot give a personalized recommendation without knowing like who you are. And I'm not going to give a generalized recommendation because there isn't a generalized recommendation. That would be unethical. Protein intake is so specialized and specific to each person. What the protein that you intake will most likely not be the same as what your friend is taking in, your mom, your boyfriend, your dad, your siblings, whomever. Everyone's protein intake should be different. So if you're looking to learn more about what your protein intake should be, what your number should be, like I always say, search out a dietitian, one that you connect with and that you trust, and ask them to give you a protein recommendation based on you.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that like sometimes a general recommendation is like half to like 2/3 of a gram per pound, which is really specific. And if you need a good place to start, like that's okay. But at the same time, that will also involve like tracking your protein and like counting your macros, and that can get really overwhelming and stressful too. So I don't want you to feel like you have to like, okay, to hit my protein goals, I have to track everything I eat, or I have to make sure I'm hitting, you know, this or that each day, or each meal. And it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. I think too, and I know our next question kind of talks about this as well, but you know, talking to a dietitian to get an idea of like, okay, how am I going to get this all in? How am I going to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, reach my protein goals? Maybe you calculate that and you're like, okay, that means I'm going to need like 80 grams of protein a day. What does that mean for me? You know, like
Mm-hmm.
how is that going to work? And a dietitian can help you kind of figure that out specifically
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely. Okay, next question. How do I know if I'm getting enough protein?
Okay, so along with going to a dietitian, an easy rule of thumb is to just eat protein as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So try to make sure you have a protein source at every meal. That's a good way to do it easy without having to track it, without having to overthink it. Try to build that balanced plate and have at least one serving, so about 3 or 4 ounces. Again, like palm size, whatever it is. Protein each meal. It can be an animal protein, seafood, poultry, red meat, eggs. It can be dairy, even Greek yogurt is a really great source of protein. Cheese,
Mm-hmm.
even. It can be a vegetarian, vegan source, tofu. Soybeans. It can be legumes. It can be tempeh. It can be so many different sources. So you know, just trying
Mm-hmm.
to get at least one source, one serving of protein at each meal, and it at snacks too. Snacks are a great place to get some protein in as well. And I recommend protein with snacks, just not only because it's a good way to get your protein in, but also it'll keep you fuller for longer. And that goes for meals and snacks too.
Mm-hmm.
Having that protein on your plate will pair with a carb. It'll pair with fat to, you know, keep you fuller for longer and just give you more energy because it takes longer to break down in your digestive system than carbs do. So it'll keep you a little fuller for a little longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love those suggestions. And I agree just about making sure to have a protein source at every meal and snack, and you know, yeah,
Yeah, very straightforward.
very straightforward.
Next question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Is it true that I need to eat protein in a certain window after a workout to build muscle?
Um, so the answer to that is yes and no. It's yes in that there is some truth to it, and there is, a window after a workout where basically your body more readily absorbs and utilizes protein more efficiently. However, that doesn't mean that once that window closes that you cannot build muscle, the protein's not going to have any effect, and that there's no point in eating it. So I hesitate saying yes because I don't want to make it sound like an extreme where you feel like you need to shove protein down your throat the second after you're done with your workout, because even if you miss that window and you eat protein after that window, your body's still going to utilize it. Your body's still going to build muscle. It's just going to be slightly less efficient than it would have been. But for a lot of reasons, you may not be want to pound protein or your snacks right after your workout. Maybe you have GI distress. I know me personally, depending on the movement I get in, I sometimes don't feel like eating right after I get done with my movement session, and I feel kind of nauseous if I eat something. So I wouldn't encourage you to eat something if you're feeling that way or having GI distress just because there's a window. Like I said, even if you eat outside that window, you build muscle. It's not, that big of a deal. So the answer is yes and no.
No, that makes sense. And I know that it's hard too. Like, I don't know. There's just so much of that research out there, and it just allows like an open playing field for all of these food rules, and it can be
Mhm.
really overwhelming. And I do think, just taking a step back and just listening to what your body is saying, like maybe you do need some fuel after your workout, but you don't need to have so many of the numbers and the stress around it of like, okay, it's this time I finish my workout at 2:30. Now it's 3:30. I got to eat this and that and make sure I get
Mhm.
30 grams of that. Like it can get so it takes up so much of your mental space. And like
100%.
it kind of falls back on the thing of like, what's the rush? Like like why do we need to put so much emphasis on this like really random specific metric and component to build muscle? Building muscle is great, but we're not in a rush to do that. Doing what feels best for your body, and maybe it is having some protein then. Maybe it's not. And either way, that's okay. Like April said, your body still is going to use the protein no matter what, like it doesn't mean that, oh, what's the use? It's that black and white thinking. Oh, now I've screwed it. It's done. I'm just giving up. No. Like do what feels good. Protein is good for your body. Building muscle is good for your body, but it doesn't mean that has to happen all right now. You don't have to become a bodybuilder overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight just because you eat protein in your window. Like it's not the end of the world if it doesn't happen. And I just think, there's so much emphasis on all of these food rules, all of this timing, it has to be perfect, perfect, perfect. And it's not. It's not sustainable. It's not going to happen long term. And having that pressure on it is going to make it even less sustainable. It's going to make it even harder to follow because you've got so much pressure on it, so much control on the food side and on the timing and on the workout and this and that and having the perfect nutrients all the time. It's just not going to happen perfectly. And that's okay. It's okay if it doesn't happen. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Your turn.
Last question of the episode.
Okay.
What is the difference between plant and animal proteins? I am so glad we get to address this.
I know. I love this question because this was like one of the coolest things I learned during school. I think I was like, oh my gosh, like the world really does revolve. Like
it
things
is wild.
really do work together. It's the coolest thing because back to the basics of it, I guess, basis of protein. Our bodies, there's 20 amino acids. Amino acids make up proteins. There's only like 20 different of them. Our bodies require 9 of these from dietary sources. The other 11 we can make in our bodies, but we have to get 9 of them from food. So complete proteins are animal proteins. Complete means they have all 9 of those amino acids in one nutrient. So like in one protein. So when you eat poultry, seafood, red meat, eggs, dairy, they all already have all 9 of those amino acids. So you don't have to worry about getting all of the amino acids from different places. Incomplete proteins are found in plant sources, and they're usually missing 1 or 2 of those different amino acids. So they might be missing leucine, or they might be missing valine, or whatever it is, So what you can do though is that different plant proteins complement other plant proteins, which I think is the coolest. So when you're like, I'm gonna have peanut butter on toast, you have made a complementary complete protein, my friend, because you have peanuts and you have whole grains together. They make a complete protein. How cool. The same thing is with beans and rice. Very cool. Some like Brussels sprouts and like kidney beans, they make a complete protein. So like the way to think about it is just to try to pair different food groups. Again, always back to that diversity. But grains pair with legumes pair with vegetables pair with grains. So and that's kind of the places of sorting of proteins, sources of protein that you'll be getting from different places to try to make those comparables and just trying to pair them up to get all the proteins that you need. You don't have to do it all at the same meal all the time. Like if you're just eating edamame, doesn't mean that you're lacking on protein. Also soy and quinoa are complete protein, plant-based proteins. Same with hemp, and there's one more. But if you do there are some plant proteins that are complete. Quinoa, hemp, and soy are the ones I'm thinking of right now. There's a couple more, but those ones will be complete, which is really cool too, that they have their own like special thing. But yes, the only difference is that incomplete proteins and complete proteins, there are a few complete plant-based proteins, and in general, plant-based foods are going to be a little less in protein just because they have so many other micronutrients and so many other things going on. Whereas like animal muscle, just like human muscle, is pretty much like just protein. So it's more concentrated. It's going to be higher protein per pound or per serving. So just keeping that in mind. That's kind of the way it works, the differences.
Yeah, I think you did a wonderful job of describing it. And just like you said, basically the difference between the two different types of protein, animal versus plant, is, how complete they are. We want those 9 essential, or we need those 9 essential amino acids. But, with plant-based proteins, it just takes a little bit more strategy. But once you know those strategies, like you said, comparing those different groups, then, bums away. It's super easy. Also, I want to point out that plant-based proteins are a little less bioavailable than animal-based proteins. And what that means is basically plant-based proteins, when something's less bioavailable, it means our bodies struggle a little bit more to digest and absorb said food item and protein. So our bodies struggle a little bit more with plant-based proteins than they do with animal-based proteins. But that's not to say that we can't get protein from plant-based proteins and we can't benefit from them. Again, like Kelsey pointed out, there are a plethora of micronutrients in the plant-based proteins, which is amazing. So it just takes a little more strategy, a little more effort, and that sort of thing. If you are, maybe a vegan, vegetarian, I guess if you are ovo-lacto vegetarian, you would be eating some animal-based proteins, maybe a pescatarian. So that would be a little bit different. But if you are a true vegan, it would take a little bit more strategy than it would if you are, an omnivore or that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Thanks for adding that. All right. I think that's everything we have to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully we answered a lot of your burning protein questions. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate or be a stranger. Just because we already did an episode on protein doesn't mean we can't answer more questions about protein. We're always happy to do a second episode addressing more questions, or address them privately. So feel free to email us. The information are in the show notes to ask questions on our form, all of the above.
Love it. Yes, always plugging, finding us on our Instagram, finding us on our email, find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.